Welcome back to the channel. In this video we are going to be going over the Stamina Templar build for Murkmire. Now this is kind of a support role that I use to play with DPS wise as well. Support DPS role. I'll show you some other roles if you just want to be just straight DPS. Anyways, I am an Imperial, so my max health is 19.6, my max stamina is 36.7, stamina recovery 768. Weapon damage is 2.7. Weapon crit's 49.6. Now my spell resistance or physical resistance is relatively high, but that's mostly because of the fact that sometimes when I roll with this character, whether it's a normal dungeon or sometimes even some of the smaller vet dungeons, I don't necessarily roll with a tank. So we'll have one healer and 3 DPS, and I kind of queue in as the tank, and I kind of hold aggro. So I change up a little bit, and I'll go over that. If you want to know what I do with that, I'll mention it. But for the most part, that's why my resistances are so high and my health is so high. 64 points in stamina. The boon I'm running is the Thief, and I'm using basic Bystaff food. Now, champion points. This is why my resistances are so high. 28 into Warlord, 39 into Sprinter, because I have high reduced cost of sprint, because some of the people I play with do not like to slow down, so I need to keep up, and I need to keep my abilities because I am a stam character. So 64 in tenacity, 64 in a mooncalf, 31 shadow ward, 44 tumbling, 37 physical weapon expert, 56 master at arms, 40 thermometer, 51 precise strike, 22 piercing, and 64 mighty. Now 53 spell shield and 52 medium armor focus. This is why my resistances are so high. If you are not tanking or planning on using your character kind of as a tank or a solo play, whatever, drop these, cut them in half, and put Ironclad about 26. That's where I would suggest. So take off about 13 of each. It won't really matter how much you pull off of either one if you really want to do that, because of the fact that it's base numbers. It's not percentage wise here. So you can definitely do that. And 26 is a good number. It'll be a full percentage. 64 hardy, 64 elemental defender, and 37 quick recovery. That's it for the champion points. Now, sets. Very similar to the Nightblade. It's identical to the Nightblade, really. War Machine weapon. First 5 pieces is War Machine. I use a dagger and axe, both infused. Poison damage enchant, one with absorb stamina, and the back bar, Maelstrom bow, infused with a weapon damage enchant. Now this wasn't something I hit on in the Nightblade video, but Endless Hell now procs the weapon damage enchant, so now that's why we're running it on the back bar, because with Endless Hell, this will be 100% uptime as long as you keep it down, where it used to only proc off of light and heavy attacks. So, dagger and axe. You could definitely go dual dagger if you want to, but I have plenty. Crit's relatively nice. I mean, fully crit, I am looking at 59.6, so I'm good on crit, and I'm happy with that. So, dagger and axe. You can go dual daggers if you want to. You can go dual swords. Understand sometimes this can be relatively difficult to get. It won't hurt you too much. It will be a few thousand difference in your DPS, but I mean, it's still there. We're mostly using this set for a support set. What this does is it gives you max stamina, minor slayer to all dungeon and trial monsters and arena. Your damage will increase by 5%. It gives you weapon damage, and when you use an ultimate ability, you and the closest 2 allies within 20 meters, you gain major slayer for 10 seconds, increasing your damage done to dungeon and trial and arena monsters by 15%. Now, that is absolutely amazing. So not only will our second 5-piece set help us with our damage, but we will push out group damage as well. Now, monster set. I'm still rocking Celine's. I got a heavy head Divines with max health. Like I said, I have a max health glypher because I am running sometimes as a tank with this character. If you are not, then, and you don't want kind of a high health pool for solo play, put a stamina enchant here instead, and you'll be just fine. And then the shoulders are medium, invigorating with max stamina. You don't want to invigorate, you want Divines. But I have not been blessed with Divines, so I will just keep trying, keep using my keys until I get one. Until then, invigorating is what I'm going with. It's been the best I've gotten so far. Gives me max stamina. One piece gives me max stamina. 2-piece when I deal direct melee damage. You have 15% chance to call a primal spirit that mauls the closest enemy in front of you after 1.3 seconds for 15.9k physical damage. That can occur once every 4 seconds. Now this used to proc off our second 5-piece set. Now it doesn't, so the uptime isn't as high, but it still has a great uptime. Reliquants. We're running Belt Divines, max stamina, Hands Divines, max stamina, Reliquant Boots Divines with max stamina, and then a Necklace and Ring Robust with weapon damage. We're running a War Machine Ring Robust with weapon damage, and then Infused Legs with max stamina. Now, like I said, previous video, I like the chest and the legs of War Machine, so that's kind of why I've always kept them here. Now you can run Divines War Machine legs if you want to, but I like the, it's entirely up to you. So, as you can see here, the numbers change a little bit. So, I really don't know why that is, so I can't really say. I guess I wouldn't think it has something to do with the Divine piece. But the max stamina does go down, but your crit hits 50 even. So for 0.4% less crit, you can run Infuse and have some more, 136 more stamina. Or you can have 0.4% more crit. So I guess that's up to you. It's kind of weird. I've never noticed that before when I've changed these sets out. So, okay. Either way, I learned something new right here. So, if you have one set or the other, or, well, let me hit on this first. Reliquant. What it does, it gives you weapon crit, minor slayer, which we already have. It doesn't stack, so we're still just getting the 5%. Weapon crit, and then when your light and heavy attacks, apply stack of your light and heavy attacks apply a stack of harmful winds to your target for 5 seconds. Harmful winds deal 266 physical damage per stack every 1 second, 20 stacks max. Now, what that means is that you have to weave your abilities in between. As you use an ability, you're weaving, which is basically you're throwing a light attack. And what this does is that it's going to create the winds, and they're going to get stronger. But if you have issues doing this and keeping it up, as you can see, let me back up now. After 5 seconds, they fall off. You see I had 7 stacks there. It starts over at 1. And then I just have to continue building the stack back up. So the damage will drop until I build it back up. So if you're not very good at weaving that, I would not recommend Reliquants. There are multiple other sets that you can run with this. War Machine comes with Halls of Fabrication, so you can run it on normal and get your body pieces. And then you can use different jewelry. There are multiple sets. You can run Automaton here. And what Automaton does, it gives you weapon crit, max weapon damage, and it adds 386 weapon damage to your physical damage abilities. Gold it out, that will give you 400. Solid 400. Every ability that the Stamina Templar uses is physical damage. So Automaton is a good set to run if you don't have one or the other. Keep in mind, Reliquant comes from Cloud Rest, so it's easier to get, or you can go Vicious Aphenia to help with your sustain. I mean, you can definitely mow through enemies with jabs like it's nothing. You can go Briarheart. This gives you weapon crit, max weapon crit, and gives you 449 when you deal crit damage. You have a lot of abilities, you will be dealing a lot of crit damage. Of course, and it also heals you every time you deal crit damage. So, or you can go Ravaging. You can do Ravaging weapons and then jewelry. You will have to transmute them then, because of the fact that jewelry is only healthy and armor set is heavy. So you want to run weapons and jewelry in that. So, if you want to go more just strict damage for yourself, and you're not worried about using War Machine here, then you can go Ravaging on your jewelry and your weapons, and then go Twice Fang. So Twice Fang will give you some good penetration. Or Spriggans. Spriggans is a good one too. Spriggans is an overland drop. Or you can drop the Thief Moon to stone. You can run Ravaging with Hunting's Rage and use the Lover Stone, and you'll do a lot of damage that way as well. There are multiple setups that you can use, but this is just Reliquant. If you weave, this is going to give you the best results. If not, then Briarheart, Automaton is the set that I would replace with this. Either one of them would do. Or War Machine, jewelry, 2 pieces on the body, and then Hunting's Rage everywhere else. So, monster sets. Celine's, I still like Celine's. It still gives a ton of damage. Veldreth is to me, it's on par with Veldreth. But right now, for Veldreth, it's better, but I still like Celine's with it. If you don't have either one of them sets, you can run Krogs. Krogs comes from Fungal Grotto 1 gives you physical penetration. When you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to spawn drug limbs that create shockwaves in front of you, dealing 1.7k physical damage every 0.4 seconds for 1.2 seconds. That can occur once every 3 seconds. This is up pretty consistently. Comes from Fungal Grotto 1. Very easy dungeon to get. Or you can get Storm Fist from Tempest Island. That's kind of difficult, but as long as your group just hugs the final boss, and then when she does the AoE, you back out, you hug her up again, you'll be able to roll through it, no problem. You can also roll Slime Crawl, which comes from Wayrest Sewers 1. Templars do not have the ability that gives them that 8% extra damage. They don't have it. Slime Crawl will grant them that. It will give them weapon crit, 1 piece, and then 2 pieces will give them that extra, will give them that minor berserk, which they don't have. So, any of those sets would absolutely be fine if you don't have Selene's or Veldreth. Because Veldreth is relatively complicated to get, because that second from last boss, if it's being glitchy, I mean, it could be a pain. You might not get through it. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Just depends on if the game's feeling generous. But, anyways, skills. Biting jabs. You launch a relentless assault, striking enemies in front of you 4 times with your spear that deals 3.4k physical damage to the closest enemy and 1.3k physical damage to all the other enemies. Final strike reduces movement speed by of the closest enemy by 70% for 2 seconds. Activating the ability grants you major savagery, increasing your weapon critical rating by 2.1. Now I want to show you something. I've heard some people complain about this, how it's not working. When you pop a potion, your weapon power, when you pop your weapon power pots, when you pop these, see, when you pop those, you are supposed to get your major brutality, and you will get your major savage. You will get that increase in your critical rating. Okay? That is the same thing that you're getting from biting jabs. So as you can see, it goes up to 5.9, 59.6, but when you pop that pot with it, it's not going to go up. It's going to stay the same. As you can see, it's still there. It's because they're the same thing. They don't stack. So you have nothing to worry about. It's okay. But with that, you can, if you don't really want to use Daily Cloak, I recommend it, because it can save you on a lot of times. It reduces your area attacks by 25% while dealing some physical damage. It deals 2.6k physical damage to all nearby enemies every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. If you don't want to use this, you can put your dagger here. Shrouded Dagger. Yeah, I would say Shrouded Dagger. I don't have it leveled up, but it gives you major brutality. So with major brutality and the spear, you're getting your, or with the dagger and your spear, you're getting your major prophecy and your major brutality. So you can basically just run trash pots if that's what you want to do. Now, rending slashes. You slash an enemy with both weapons to cause deep laceration, dealing 2.7k physical damage with each weapon and causing them to bleed for an additional 11k physical damage over 9 seconds. It's amazing. It's a huge dot. It used to, at one point, I remember it was proccing Selene's, but I don't think it no longer does that. So, but you see, just off of that, there was a one shot from Selene's there, but that was 20% of the precursor's health here. Now the precursor isn't a good test, but it's just, you can just take a look at it and see that. Quite a bit of damage just off of that. Power of the Light. You summon an expanding beam of pure sunlight to doom an enemy, dealing 4.8k physical damage to them, and then copying all their damage taken for 6 seconds, releasing 20% of it as additional physical damage to them. Maximum copy damage, 22k. Targets are also afflicted with minor fracture and minor breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 1.3k for 6 seconds. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I could be wrong, but I believe I'm right. I'm not sure. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comment section. Now, Power of the Light, I believe, is one of the only moves now that really gives minor fracture and minor breach for stamina characters. At one point, it was the Nightblade with surprise attack, but surprise attack now does major fracture, at least on the stamina character. I haven't checked it on the magic character in a while. So I believe minor fracture and minor breach is really only obtained through this set, or through this ability. I think Sunder Flame still gives a little. I think it gives like minor breach. I think. Minor fracture, I think Sunder Flame still does. Actually, I think I have a sword on me, so let me check that out real quick. Butterfly. Yeah, it gives minor breach and minor fracture. So you can use this on your on some other tunes. The Templar doesn't really need it, so you're good. So you want to keep this up because that minor breach, minor fracture, it's a little extra resistances wiped from the boss. And it's going to deal out a ton of damage when it explodes. So it's really easy. Put it in the rotation. It should go off by the time you finish your rotation on the front bar. And once it goes off, you should be able to cast it as your back bar, as you're flipping. Usually you'll go through your rotation on the back bar, and by the time you come back around, it should be exploding again. So you would just do it again, and then continue on with the rotation. And then it should explode. So, and you should cast it as you flip through. Deadly Cloak, no one over this. You know, nice little protection. Can save you from those pesky little AoEs. Repentance. As the body's lying around on the ground, you're going to heal yourself for 2.9k health, and you're going to restore 2.9k stamina. You're going to gain minor fortitude, your minor endurance, and your minor intellect, increasing your health, stamina, and magic recovery by 10% just for having it on the front bar. Essentially, you're just running through, killing things, you know. If you just things are on the ground, you just R1, all your stamina is going to come back to you. And so is your health. Empowering Sweep. Swing your spear around with Holy Vengeance, dealing 9.4k physical damage to all nearby enemies, and additional 4.7k physical damage every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. Gain minor protection for 6 seconds, reducing your damage take by 30%. Duration increased by 1 second for each enemy hit. Now, the reason why we're running this on the front bar is because of that ultimate cost. It is 72 ultimate. And with War Machine, it's great. So we're going to get that back relatively quickly, especially with when we have Slayer going. The passive from the fighter skill, which is Slayer. And then there are certain abilities, I think, I want to say it's the Restoring Light down here, where when you cast an ability, you gain ultimate. No? Dawn's Wrath? Yeah. Prism. Casting Dawn's Wrath ability generates 3 ultimate. That's your power of the light. So as you cast that, you're going to generate ultimate. 6 seconds. It goes down 6 seconds. So as you're casting it, 3 seconds. So essentially every time within a rotation, you're going to cast this twice pretty much. So you're going to get 6 ultimate, you know, just from that alone. So you generate ultimate really quickly. So usually there's, if at most, a 3 or 4 second downtime on the casting on the 10 seconds. So basically 14 seconds to get this up, 13 to 14 seconds. So, which is War Machine only lasts for 10 seconds. The Major Savagery only lasts for 10 seconds. So it's really only going to be down 3 or 4 seconds after 10 seconds. So if that makes sense, I hope y'all followed me on that one. Poison Injection deals 5.2k poison damage, additional 9.4k poison damage over 10 seconds. Damage over time deals 260% more damage to enemies under 50% health. I like to keep this up until the boss is about 12 to 14% health, and then I go into execute phase for the most part. But Templars do not have an execute. They do not. Stamina Templars do not have an execute. So even during the execute phase, you want to keep this up because this is as close as you're going to get to an execute phase. So, Endless Hell. Launch multiple arrows in the sky to rain down to 1.3k physical damage to enemies in the target area every 0.5 seconds for 10 seconds. Now, Maelstrom Bow. This is our strongest dot. If you don't have a Maelstrom Bow, this is going to be your strongest dot. Deals 1.8k physical damage every 1 second, reducing movement speed by 30%. Ball Caltrops initially explodes. It deals an immediate 2.2k physical damage and reduces movement speed of enemies hit by 70% for 30 seconds. Now you can see the difference in the damage. It says Endless Hell 3, 1.5, 2.6, and you just see the damage climbing there. It's huge. We'll let it run out. Okay. So it did 18%. Now this one, there it goes. So it did 18%. Alright, so it should be going off here shortly. So, this only did, say what, 10%? So yeah, 8% difference in the damage. So, you can see, Maelstrom definitely makes a huge difference in some of the damage, especially with the Precursor. 18% to 10%. Yeah, 18% and 10%. Now, if you didn't have that Maelstrom bow, it's like around, let me see if I got an extra bow on me. If I don't, it would be the same. I do not have an extra gold bow on me. So, but essentially, it is relatively safe. This is definitely your strongest dot with Maelstrom bow. This is your strongest dot without Maelstrom bow. Just keep that in mind. That was a huge 8% difference with the Maelstrom bow. So that's why you want that. BMA is definitely hard to bet Maelstrom, but Sorks are probably one of the easiest classes to get through. So, Vigor. Renew your forces, resolving healing yourself for 11.3k health over 5 seconds, and nearby allies for 8.7k health over 5 seconds. This is just our heal. So as you go in, normally, if group's been slow or the tank's not really tanking, before a mob gets full, I do that, then I go in and cast my dots. So that way when I get that initial hit, I have health coming in behind it, so I'm not too worried about it. Your army trap. It's a sharpened blade trap location, which takes 1.5 seconds to arm, lasts for 1 minute. When triggered, the trap deals 2.9k physical damage and additional 7.5k physical damage over 6 seconds. Immobilizes the enemy for 6 seconds, grants you minor force, increasing your critical damage done by 10%. After being triggered, the trap resets and can be triggered one time. Now, essentially, this right here. 2.948. Uncrit. Crit is 5.247, or 52. So 2.952. So now with this, for your armor trap here, when it triggers, 5.5 is out. So it goes up a good bit. 5.5, 5.5. That's why you want to keep that down. And then on top of that, we have a good crit. So we're going to be critting an awful lot. That's why we want rearming trap down. And back bar is Ballista, so I'm going to turn to unleash a barrage of arrows at an enemy dealing 5.6k physical damage over 5.2 seconds, 168. Now if you want to, you can definitely run Dawnbreaker on the back bar. That will increase the damage when you flip to your back bar, but because we don't have an execute, I run Ballista, so kind of similar right there to the end. I just wait an extra second, so it's usually by the, I'll skip a rotation, I'll cast an ultimate. This mob gets relatively low, around 30%. I won't do the ultimate like I would, and I just wait until I roll back around till he's within execute range, around that 25% or so, and then I'll cast Ballista to get it going, just kind of speed up the execute range. 168 from 72, it's a little extra long, so it's about 25 seconds in between. So let's see, I've gone over placement sets. Yep. I think I've pretty much touched on everything. So that is the build that I've been running for Murkmire, and until next time.